It's really an awesome story. My son was diagnosed with ADHD when he was real young.
Come on.
He was told he wouldn't amount to nothing, and some of his teachers was telling him he'll grow up and be in prison before he hit a certain age, or he'll be dead. Which I always spoke over that. You know, I don't speak up against my child that way. My child will be who God said he can be.
Right.
They wanted to put him in special ed classes. I wouldn't allow him to do it. I allowed him to keep the door open, but I never allowed them to put him in those classes. I didn't want him to feel like he was less than, because I knew he was great. I knew it was a king in him. I've called both my boys kings since they were little boys. They're kings. And when he would get suspended all the time because of the ADHD, so they would find a reason. Since he had a label, they used that label to the extent. He would be at home with me, and I cooked. I would cook and I would go and deliver food. So now that he's older and he's doing it, it's really funny for me to watch it like that. But his dad was a great cook. He started cooking at 14. He asked me if he could cook Thanksgiving dinner when he was 14. I said, no, that's a lot. I don't think you can handle that. He said, yes, I can. He said, let me make the dressing. So I asked him, I said, what does that consist of? He told me all the ingredients. We went out, we bought everything he asked for, and he's been cooking since he was 14. I haven't cooked a Thanksgiving dinner since he was 14. Another place. The devil wanted to take him out, but God had something totally different for him. I used to tell him all the time, you can really do this for yourself, but until you stop the drinking, because my son had a drinking problem at one point.
Okay.
And like I said, the enemy was trying to take his life, but I had already prayed, I had already fasted. Peter says, we've already talked. We've already talked about you. We've already prayed about you. You got this. So I know I had already prayed. I had already interceded. I had been on my face, and I said, you can't have him.
Right.
And so just to see what God is doing with him now. He spent 42 days in prison. I mean, prison, like jail prison. That was a prison for him.
Yeah.
After he did that 42-day stint, he's not been the same ever since. It's like God totally woke up something in him. He was angry with God at the time. I remember before all this happened, I prayed, and I said, God, whatever you need to do, sit him down. He was yours before he was mine. You gave him to me, I'm giving him back to you. And before the streets kill him, because they don't have no love for him, I'm asking you to do what you need to do in him, because I love my son and I don't want to have to bury him.
Right.
I prayed this prayer, and it wasn't even 6 weeks later when he did the 42 days. He asked God to forgive him. Every day he was calling me, telling me about a story he read, and we would elaborate on the story. And if I just tell you, God has been doing something in him ever since then. I mean, just a totally different kid.
Wow.
Totally different kid. He was looking at 20 years.
Wow.
Prison time during this time when he was in the 42 days, because he had to count 2 cases of trafficking.
Yeah.
And so here in the state of Oklahoma, everybody was telling me, oh no, he's going to do at least 5 years. He's going to do at least 3 years. I said, God didn't tell me that. He's not going to do no time.
Wow. Wow.
And I believe what God showed me. I believe what God told me. When the whole thing was all said and done, he got away with 10 years suspended sentence. He had to do 10 weekends locked up in jail. But when I tell you he's not the same, he's not the same.